parents. I am going to share a video today as a follow-up to what I had introduced last week, sharing in little kids. Today's topic is sharing in bigger kids. Dun, dun, dun. This topic can be a little bit intimidating for parents. And I wanted to just quickly go over my techniques for sharing are really centered in collaboration techniques. So it's helping kids navigate all of the gray, helping them to develop skills around consent and boundaries so that if they're in a situation where there aren't any rules, they'll be able to navigate this with a little bit more ease. I think that a lot of the skills that you see in sharing with younger children, they apply to all human beings. These are really skills of collaboration. So the same skills apply to big kids also. Usually big kids, just like little kids, just like adults, need help in making requests, saying no, receiving a no, and if the no lasts a long time, it's sitting with unmet needs as a skill also. So I think what makes this challenging for bigger kids, and this is actually true for adults also. So these skills are more challenging when, first of all, the skills are new. If your big kids or adults haven't had a lot of opportunity to practice collaboration, then these skills are going to feel really tricky. Sitting with unmet needs is uncomfortable. It's really something that you have to practice, and as you get better at it, that piece becomes easier. And so with these 4 different steps that are involved with sharing, you'll find that the more you practice the steps in small and big ways, the easier it'll get. Kids who are shifting in environments a lot, and one of those environments or many of those environments involve more power over techniques, they're going to have a lot more modeling of that power over style. And so it doesn't mean that you don't want to do this collaborative style. In fact, I think it's even more important that you're offering this alternative of collaborative negotiation. But I find that kids who are spending a lot of time in power over environments, hierarchical environments, they just have more role modeling of how to use your might or how to use your power to get what you want. Or how to use a system to work in your favor. And so as kids are introduced to a more collaborative environment, it might take longer for them to learn the skills. And it might also just be a case of, they got really used to seeing and using this one particular style and helping them to switch over that, that's not gonna work in this environment. Or we wish to value other things in this environment. That might take time. They might naturally keep going back to what they've seen most often, and you can keep guiding them back to try something different. Another reason why kids might have a hard time using this collaborative style technique, especially bigger kids, especially adults, is if their cup is low. If a kid is feeling like they're having a rough day, a teen, tween, adult having a rough day, or maybe they're going through something that's a pretty big deal, it can be really hard to access those collaborative strategies when your needs in other areas are regularly going unmet. So helping your big kid, teen, tween, adult to fill their cup, meet their needs in other ways, you'll create more openness for them to practice collaborative skills in a sharing situation later on. It's really hard to access if their needs are unmet for long periods of time in other areas. Another big one is impulse control. I think we kind of expect impulse control in little kids, but as kids get bigger, they might also have some impulse control that pops up as part of some of their neuro differences. And so just keep that in mind, that those kids who have impulse control, they might go to that first strategy of just taking the toy, not even making the request, or taking the remote control, or it's almost like they forget the request piece. Or if they remember to make the request, their mind might already be on to something else, so they're not receiving the rest of the information. So for them, it's really helping them to slow down and see and hear the parts that they're missing. I think the other reason why it might be tricky for a big kid, teen, tween, or adult to go through this process of collaborative sharing is sometimes the item that you're trying to share is attached to some really big needs. And when there's really big feelings involved, a large, loud, unmet need underneath, it can be really hard to use those collaboration techniques. It becomes really tempting to just use your power and get what you want so that you can have that relief. So for those reasons, it can be harder for parents to support their kids, whatever their age is, through these collaborative sharing techniques. So some of the feedback that I hear from parents most often around sharing and big kids are things like, my kids should know better. And that one I totally get. I think I've had that judgment myself towards my own kids. Really? We're here again? And I'm a collaborative parenting coach, and here we are doing this again? Yes, we are. So usually there's a judgment behind that, and taking a few moments to explore what that judgment might be might help you to realize what some of your needs are as a parent. And it might help you to let go of that and lean into the collaborative process a little easier. This is definitely something that we do in my Connected Parenting class. Check that out if you're interested. Another reason why this might be harder for parents supporting sharing in big kids using these strategies is that sometimes some of our fears come up as we think, oh my gosh, here are my kids clobbering one another because they both want to have a turn with the controller, and what's going to happen when they get older, and those future worries come up for us. And then similarly, as we see our bigger kids exerting force to get what they want, not really going into a sharing collaborative process, it can trigger some of our own memories about, adults who maybe used power over us and how that might have felt. So having some awareness about some of our stuff that comes into the dynamic of witnessing this struggle for an object or a thing, it can really help us as we're trying to support more collaborative, connected approaches to sharing. So the techniques are the same as little kids. Check out my previous video. It's helping them to make a request, saying no, receiving a no, and then sitting with unmet needs if the no is lasting a while. If you want, let me know. I could potentially do another video on this with a big kid example. And I also intend to do an example of follow-up on protective use of force, because that one comes up a lot too with big kids and sharing. All right, I hope that this was useful. I've packed a lot of information into a short period of time. These 10-minute videos, I appreciate them because they force me to be concise, but I hope the message gets across to you also. So thanks for tuning in. Send me a message if you have any other ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Bye.